three-car bout here. Stock car representative Neil Bonnet battles with IndyCar giants Danny Ungaius and Gordon Johncock. Ungaius in the black car, who had led 22 laps, was about to be in big trouble. Bonnet, the stock car champion, Johncock, the IndyCar champion, battling it out. Cale Yarborough in big trouble, uninjured in this late race mayhem. In the final sort out, Neil Bonnet takes first. A step toward a $150,000 payoff out of a $450,000 prize. Yesterday, this was Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio, a working airport. Today, it becomes a 2.4-mile, 12-turn road course for round 2 of the International Race of Champions. Which by winning in Michigan is handicapped to start dead last for our live flag-to-flag coverage this afternoon. Here beneath the Cleveland, Ohio skyline on this 12-turn road course along the shores of Lake Erie, we are in the preliminary laps to the start of round 2 of the International Race of Champions. A perfect day for racing here in Cleveland, Ohio. Here's a look at the weather. The wind is gusting some 15 to 25 miles per hour, and we have a great field of 12 drivers. Let's take a look at their points as they are in those preliminary laps. This is actually the finish, how they came across the line at Michigan in round number 1. Neil Bonnet, the winner, for 21 points. Benny Parsons, second for 17. And just as important, the people who finished out back, because they come first. They reversed the field here today, and it's Cale Yarborough on the pole, who only scored 3 points, and Tom Sneva starts alongside. A good afternoon to you. I'm Ken Squire, and delighted to have working with me again the Dean of American Racecasters, Chris Economy.
Ken, I can't remember any IROC in history where all of the drivers were pleased with their cars. There's been no complaints. This means that everyone honestly feels he can win, and that could lead to some fenders and spoilers on this racetrack before the day is over. And now let's take a look at how our dashing dozen lines up.
Here's how they line up for race number 2 in the 1984 International Race of Champions. On the pole, 3-time Grand National Stock Car champion Cale Yarborough. Beside him comes Tom Sneva, the 2-time IndyCar champion, in the car that won round number 1. Row 2 are all road racers. Derek Bell, 3-time winner of Le Mans. He's the IROC rookie from Sussex, England. And beside him, his old teammate, the 2-time world endurance champion from Belgium, Jackie Ickx. Emerson Fittipaldi is on the inside of row number 3, the 2-time Formula One world champion. And next to him comes Dale Earnhardt, North Carolina's former Grand National champion. Starting in 7th is Johnny Rutherford, the 3-time Indy winner, still seeking his first IROC win. And beside him, Danny Ungaius, the 6-time IndyCar winner. Moving back to row 5, Tennessee's Darrell Waltrip. He'll be on the inside, and beside him comes Michigan's Gordon Johncock, the 2-time Indy winner, finished 3rd, round 1. Next is Benny Parsons from North Carolina, who came from dead last to 2nd in that first round. And beside him, the man who won it all in round 1 at Michigan, Alabama's Neil Bonnet, relegated to dead last for this 30-lap, 74-mile contest. $450,000 at stake, and it all comes at the end of the series. The next race in 3 weeks. As you look out of one of these cars, get ready for the start of this event. Let's go down to the pits quickly. Ned Jarrett is standing by along with Dick Vermeil today.
Ken, these are the exact same cars they ran in Michigan a few weeks ago with some modifications. Of course, they run clockwise here as opposed to counterclockwise there. So a lot of modifications to the suspension of the cars. And, Dick, that's not quite all.
Ned, they changed the carburetors. The mechanics have taken the smaller Holley 390 and replaced it with the larger 790 carburetor, the same carburetor that's used in the Grand National Stock Car races.
That should give them about 50 more horsepower, more acceleration off the turns. Cale Yarborough has a little bit of a different problem here that he didn't have at Michigan.
He has a very sore shoulder, and it's bothering him here making the right-hand turns. Now, it hasn't bothered him early this year because he was always turning left, but it's bothering him today.
And there is a little additional modification on Neil Bonnett's car. The gear shift lever has been extended to accommodate that broken wrist on his right hand.
All right, field is organized, and we're down for a start on these equally prepared cars, slightly amended from what we saw at Michigan. 3 weeks hence, they will be at Talladega, Alabama. There's the course, and it's just as flat as an airport. As Darrell Waltrip said, this would make a very good airport.
That's right. Waltrip was quite happy. You know, it's one of the few times when he was introduced at an automobile race that he hasn't been booed. Down south, he draws a lot of boos, but here he got some cheers, and that must set him off right for today's race.
At the drivers' meeting this morning, he said, I have one thing to say to all the other drivers here before we get started this afternoon. I'm only going to say it once. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of elbowing and shouldering before this day is over.
Now, Waltrip has won 4 races in NASCAR on a road course, of course, all at Riverside, California. Cale Yarborough has picked up 3 wins in road course competition. And Gordy Johncock had one up at Brainerd, Minnesota. 30 laps, 74 miles, coming down for green. Right now, remember, it is Cale Yarborough who on the last time out had a real head knocker up in the wall at Michigan, who now was on the point in the white car.
That shoulder injury of Cale's, it's amazing. It doesn't bother him when he turns left, but when he turns right, it's a serious problem. He's going to have more surgery, and it may mean he can't finish today.
He's very concerned he could not go the 30 laps. He says he hasn't got enough strength that way to turn a lawnmower. It's Tom Sneva jumping out in front as they go under green here at Cleveland, Ohio, in round 2 of the International Racer Champions. Sneva in the car that won at Michigan, the one that Neil Bonnet drove to victory, is now on the point. As we get lap number 1 underway.
Here's Neil Bonnet
muscling his way through.
Oh, you'll be able to watch how Neil works here. Watch this shifting. The stock car drivers are shifting apparently once or twice more than most of the other people because of their knowledge of the weight and power of these cars.
They vary considerably. Some are shifting 12 times a lap, and there are some Gordon Johncock doesn't shift more than 6 or 7 times. Out back is still Neil Bonnet, hasn't been able to move through as yet. And Tom Sneva's in front. Cale Yarborough is running for 2nd position.
Now, this straightaway here is extremely wide, and then they funnel down into narrow corners at the east end of this circuit, and that's been a problem. The back straightaway is 100 yards wide, and then the turn up there they're about to go in is about 2 car lengths wide, 2 car widths wide.
Tommy Sneva with the lead. You know, when you try to build 12 cars exactly alike, like breeding puppies, you have to get one that's a world-class champion, and you have to get one that's a runt. This car has been the one people have been talking about, the rose-colored car. It's up in the 1st position now. Cale in 2nd. He's a pretty good road racer. Low angle shot into this corner as they get down into 2nd gear. Jackie Ickx.
So easily matched there. Jackie Ickx, the road racing driver who did so poorly in Michigan, is in 3rd place.
Garrett Dell is in 4th. Emerson Fittipaldi is in 5th.
Bell has had a very hectic schedule. He's been flying back and forth to Watkins Glen for a road race that takes place up there this weekend, sharing a car with Al Holbert.
Here's Derek Bell.
Okay, here's Derek Bell inside the car. Let's take a look at how he takes this course. We can see out his windshield the 12 turns to this course, and depending on your style and technique, he's closing up on the car in front of him, as you can see, and watch his hand on the gear shift lever as he makes those gear changes as he comes around. And heading down now into what will be turn 7, a 4th gear situation down to 3rd gear as he bends into that corner into a 500-foot straight. Turn 8 is the beginning of a large sweep that includes turns 9 and 10. 850-foot lengths separate these turns, and the drivers stay in 3rd gear throughout this whole thing. The turns are called 3 turns, but it's really one great big sweeper. You can see how steady the car is as it comes around into the main straightaway now. 2,350 feet up through the gears to 4th as they head down towards the right-hand turn that leads into the pit area. One of the toughest turns, 150-foot length. Here, Bonnet is coming into that now as the leaders stand by. So you can see it's not an easy job doing a lap here at Burke Lakefront.
2 laps are now completed on live CBS coverage of race number 2 of the International Race of Champions. Sneva first, Kaylee Yarborough second. Jackie Hicks maintaining third, Derek Bell fourth, Emerson Fittipaldi in fifth. Dale Earnhardt is sixth, Gaius is in seventh, Rutherford eighth, Waldrop is in ninth. Averaging 99.2 miles per hour in the second lap on this 2.42-mile, 12-turn course at Cleveland, Ohio. Tomorrow on CBS, World Formula One Championship racing from Dallas, Texas. Kaylee Yarborough closes a little on Sneva, and we've got one car spinning. It is Jackie Hicks spinning, getting loose at turn number 5. Picks himself up and gets back underway.
Tough break for Jackie, who this morning said he ran 9.5 miles before breakfast. Maybe he's worn out.
And did it in an hour. The endurance racer who does some endurance running as well as driving gets back on the course. Two-time world champion Jackie Hicks. You're back with the leaders. And it's Tom Sneva in first. Kaylee Yarborough in second. The IndyCar driver on the point, and Kaylee Yarborough, the stock car champion, right behind him. Hicks now falling back, and Derek Bell proceeds up to third spot on the standings.
Now, the drivers are saying, Ken, that drafting here is not nearly as important as it is on the super speedway. Notice that not too many positions have changed. The leaders remain the same. Kaylee Yarborough, despite his shoulder, is really within striking distance of our leader, Tom Sneva.
Field rolling through, and way out back, Jackie Hicks is almost 900 feet behind the 11th place car. Lap number 3 was a 99.5 mile per hour lap. Incidentally, the car that Hicks spun, Chris, was the red car that was spun twice in practice by Derek Bell. And it seems like even the road racers are having trouble with that car. Here's a battle for third position. Derek Bell is right there. Derek Bell maintaining third. Emerson Fittipaldi pulling up. And a battle for the lead again. It is Kaylee Yarborough really working at the tail end of Sneva's car. Now you're looking out the back. Our live coverage from Cleveland, Ohio of race number 2. And there's Fittipaldi getting underneath. Emerson Fittipaldi moving beneath Derek Bell and picking up a spot. Emerson's done pretty well in this series before, particularly on road courses, but the ovals haven't helped him much.
Well, he says he loves this place. It's his kind of track. The most important thing about it is that he feels comfortable, and he's on the comeback trail. He's had financial problems back in his native Brazil, and he really needs to reestablish his career and his credibility as a frontline driver.
So Emerson Fittipaldi moves into third position. Derek Bell back to fourth. Earnhardt up to fifth. On Gaius coming on to sixth. What a great run on Gaius made. Then had trouble up at Michigan in the first race. Led some 22 laps. Really, he was the only driver to dominate the event. Coming by to complete another lap with third spot, now belonging to Fittipaldi. Derek Bell in the fourth position. And then comes Dale Earnhardt.
Tom Sneva represents the IndyCar drivers, and they're the ones who know this circuit the best. They've been racing here for the last couple of years, and they say that that's a distinct advantage. It's the first time the stock car drivers have seen Burke Lakefront, as well as the sports car people.
Lap number 3 slowed down to 97.9 miles per hour. They came out of it just a little. It's still Tom Sneva in front, and we'll continue with more live coverage of the International Race of Champions from Cleveland, Ohio, after these messages. Working the 6th of 30 laps in round 2 of the International Race of Champions. Tom Sneva is in first place. Kaylee Yarborough maintains second. Emerson Fittipaldi is in third. The battle is back in fourth. There lies Derek Bell, and directly behind him in the black car, and you can see him closing on Derek Bell. That is Dale Earnhardt in fifth position. He's almost passed Bell twice while we were away on commercial. Sneva stays out in front. Look at Earnhardt pull up again, Chris Economaki. Right there, knocking on the door.
Our leader, Tom Sneva, has 8 IROC starts to his history, but has enjoyed little success. A fourth-place finish at Michigan in 1978 was his best.
Working the 6th of 30 laps in round 2 of the International Race of Champions. Tom Sneva is in first place. Kaylee Yarborough maintains second. Emerson Fittipaldi is in third. The battle is back in fourth. There lies Derek Bell, and directly behind him in the black car, and you can see him closing on Derek Bell. That is Dale Earnhardt in fifth position. He's almost passed Bell twice while we were away on commercial. Sneva stays out in front. Look at Earnhardt pull up again, Chris Economaki. Right there, knocking on the door.
Our leader, Tom Sneva, has 8 IROC starts to his history, but has enjoyed little success. A fourth-place finish at Michigan in 1978 was his best, and he does not have a good reputation, as you say, Ken, as a road race driver. In fact, last year at Mid-Ohio in practice for an IndyCar race, he kept going off the road in the grass and off the road and off the road. And pit man finally got on the radio and said, Tom, bring that $350,000 mower into the pits and we'll sharpen it for you. And it was a tough dig for Tom Sneaver, last year's Indy winner, to take.
Well, he says he's a better road racer than he's given credit for. He told us this morning he really liked to be thought of better. Like to be good enough to win one of these, and right now he looks like he's on his way.
Well, you know, I'm looking at the stopwatch. Cale is picking him up in the corners. It may be that Tom's car is a little bit better on the straightaway than Cale. He had about a 1.17 seconds at the end of the long straight, but only 85 100ths of a second after a set of corners. So Cale is doing a good job.
99.3 was the last lap time, 99.3 miles per hour. They hang it right in there between 99.3 and 99.5. Sneva now leading by 12 car lengths as he crosses the start-finish line to complete another lap.
Emerson Fittipaldi is doing a great job of picking up the leaders. He probably is doing the best job of any of the 12 on the track right now.
Let's go to Ned Jarrett standing by along pit road.
Ken, one problem that could develop here this afternoon with these cars is that they will be using a lot more brakes than they did at Michigan. In fact, brakes was not a factor there, but it will be here. Cale is running awfully hard into those turns. As Chris pointed out, it looked like Sneed was running a little faster on the straightaway, but he might be using up more brakes than he'll have to run the full distance of this race. That's something that all the drivers were concerned about, is getting these 3,200-pound cars slowed down going into these flat turns. So they have to conserve the brakes, and they also have to be very careful not to overheat the tires, so at the end of the race that they'll be able to get good traction. So they have to enter a little bit of strategy into their driving, as well as driving aggressively during the 30 laps here.
The 7th lap was a 99.4 mile an hour reading for this man, Tom Sneva, in front, Yarborough in second, and Fittipaldi is definitely closing up. Now, the wind has been really stout. It blew up to 25, 30 miles per hour this morning, and that could prove to be a factor as far as tires are concerned before the afternoon's over, Chris.
You know, it's hard to believe that a wind could blow gravel on the circuit, but that's what's happened along the lakefront. On that long back straightaway, there's gravel up there. Gordon Johncock said he felt there might be tire trouble today because the car's running over with their thin racing tires, puncturing the tires on the gravel.
There's Emerson Fittipaldi, who maintains that we've got a car off. Earnhardt has spun off just at the start-finish line. Didn't spin off, drove off, but he fell well back.
He was in 5th place.
That'll drop him back at least 3 spots. 99.1 miles per hour on Sneva in lap number 8 of 30. They are now working the 9th lap. Fittipaldi continuing to close. Waltrip says he shifts 10 times per lap. Gordon Johncock told me he does about 6. Some said they weren't sure.
Well, that's true. Some of the stock car drivers are just touching 4th gear past the start-finish line, and the stock car drivers know these engines better. They know that when they're pulling, they stay in the lower gears more, so as a consequence, shift more often. Tom Sneva started to tell me how many times he shifted, and got halfway around. Says, Chris, he says, God, you better ask somebody else.
Running out back, Danny Ungaius in 6th, and 7th is Waltrip. Johncock is in 8th, Benny Parsons is in 9th, Neil Bonnet is 10th, Rutherford 11th, and Jackie Hicks is on the tail end at the present time.
You know, Ken, this circuit here at Cleveland is really remarkable. These bleachers that are temporary are run 1 mile long down the straightaway. To run this event cost $1.6 million to put up all this stuff, all the cement and the bleachers. It's really an amazing undertaking on the part of the organizers. And now we've got some really tight competition coming up behind Sneva here as he flashes by the main grandstand. Fittipaldi is now knocking on Cale Yarborough's back bumper.
There you see the 3 of them.
That's a good race.
99.06 miles per hour, lap number 9. We're now into lap number 10, about a third of the way gone in this round 2, the only road race this year. Next, in 3 weeks from this afternoon, we'll be on the world's fastest track, Talladega, Alabama. The day before, the Talladega 500, which CBS will be bringing you live flag to flag, and then August 11, the finale from the beautiful Michigan International Speedway, one of the nicest facilities anywhere in the world of racing. There's Sneva in first. Tom Sneva holding on that front position.
Fittipaldi drawing a bead on Yarborough now as they head down the east end of the circuit.
Emerson Fittipaldi in the blue car, back to the third. 14 times a winner in Formula One competition and twice the world champion. There's the leader, Tom Sneva, staying out in front. Indianapolis champion and twice Indy car champion. Cale Yarborough, 3-time winner at Daytona, and the only driving title and the NASCAR Grand National rack back-to-back 3 times, lies right there in the white car in that second spot. Fittipaldi definitely closing ground.
Steve, incidentally, Ken, is leading this year's IndyCar point standings as well.
See them around turn 3, about 750 feet. They get into the high gear, and then they just flat-foot it into a hard right-hander.
1.7 seconds interval between the first and third place.
So there are the front 3. Derek Bell is 4th, Ongais 5th, Waltrip is 6th, and there's more to come here on CBS. With 12 laps complete, 29.7 miles, Tom Sneva stays in front. Yarborough maintaining second. Emerson Fittipaldi right there in third. The battle is for 4th position between Derek Bell and Danny Ongais. And if you don't think they're trying, Chris Economaki, take a look at this from out of Derek Bell's car just moments ago. That's Ongais right on the rear deck lid. And he gets a little wide and finds the wall and nearly climbed over it there.
Unbelievable. And I'll say one thing for Danny. He should have been a rodeo cowboy.
Leader, Sneva. Second, Yarborough. Third, Fittipaldi. 12th lap was just run at 99.2 miles per hour, and you're back inside Derek Bell's car. That is the 4th place car. Ongais is in 5th.
There's been no indication that the track is too dirty. The rain that fell here the days leading up to this event left the back straightaway rather dirty and as a consequence slippery, but everybody seems to be getting a good bite now.
In Derek Bell's car, speed saying just barely under 100 miles per hour. Top speed about 140, 145 miles per hour. There's Derek Bell's car. Let's take a look at Neil Bonnet for a moment, if we might. Now you're inside Neil Bonnet's car. Remember, he still has that taped-up wrist, and you can see the build-up they have made on the shifter to help him out there a little. That's the only change on any of the cars.
That shifter lever is about 5 inches higher than any other shifter levers, and Neil said that he has tremendous trouble shifting with that badly injured right wrist.
He is running in 10th position. Neil Bonnet, remember, he won the first race. We'll review the points for you a little later. He's staying away from that shifter as much as he can. He had his hand rewrapped. They split the cast this morning, and Les Richter, the coach, the guy who put this series together, redid the cast. And here he is trying to shift, puts him in a little pain, and he says that it will be July 30th before he can finally get rid of that cast. It means he's got some pretty hard racing to do. Up comes Talladega, but nowhere near the pile. We have another spin by Dale Earnhardt just shy of the start-finish line, and he's back underway.
You know, if they finish this way, Ken, we're going to have a really tight point battle going into Talladega. Really tight.
Earnhardt's had a couple of problems here in the going thus far, and he's fallen back. He is now shown in 9th. Dell and Ongais seem to be the race, as well as this battle up in front, where Tom Sneva stays in the lead in our live CBS coverage. Now remember, tomorrow we'll be with you from Dallas, Texas, the first time that the World Championship Formula One cars have ever been there. Chris and I have been there the past several days, and it is just astounding what they pulled off down there with about $6 million and just grim determination. And Dallas, Texas becomes the home of a World Championship race, and you'll see it tomorrow as Nelson Piquet tries for 3 in a row. The last guy to do that was Alan Jones back in 1979. 3 in a row. Can it be done? You'll see it tomorrow. Live flag-to-flag coverage with some 17 cameras here on CBS. Tom Sneva first, Cale Yarborough second, Emerson Fittipaldi third.
And pulling away from Fittipaldi here, we're getting an interval timing there, just a split second between Sneva and Cale Yarborough. Those two now pulling away. Derek Bell pulling away from his pursuers in 4th position.
And Waltrip is closing up. Waltrip closing on Ongais. Waltrip, and there's a motion from Emerson Fittipaldi that something's amiss on his car. That is where the pit area is. He was signaling as he came to it. But the battle is developing for 5th spot. The yellow car of Darrell Waltrip has been moving along very nicely, thank you, and he's ready to challenge Danny Ongais. And as you can see, Ongais' car from that replay we gave you may not be handling quite as well as it was earlier. Meanwhile, back in front, there you see that effort being made by Danny Ongais and Darrell Waltrip right there. Waltrip really closing up on Ongais now, and we know that Ongais' car must be crippled a tad after that hard hit that it took in the front. But it takes a lot more than that to stop Danny Ungaius. Fittipaldi continues to lose ground. Oh, almost out of control, and throwing that car in there was Waltrip. He'd had to say, excuse me, if he'd collected the door on Ungaius' car. They say that car number 7 will pit, and maybe a flat tire.
Well, it's a tough break. That's that gravel out there. You know, if they finish the way they're running now, Neil Bonnet will have 27 points if he winds up, and Sneva, if he wins, will have 25 points going into Talladega, setting up a real horse race there.
Halfway in the race, 15 down and 15 to go. Live on CBS, Cale Yarborough, the NASCAR stock car man, and the IndyCar man, and in the pits, here's car number 7 pitting. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Kenny has a flat tire on that car, and one thing that could happen is we see them changing the tire in the background. Of course, that means that he's going to go a lap down, but he could have overused his brakes because these tires, they do use inner tubes in them, and a lot of times that will melt an inner tube if you use the brakes too hard. And I suspect that that's what's happened, but we will find out once they get that tire off as to exactly why it went flat down.
The rules of the International Race of Champions, if you have to have your car worked on, you automatically are assessed a 1-lap penalty.
It's almost foolish to hurry in the pits with that kind of a rule written into the regulations of the race. 10 men working on the car down there. It really looks strange with racing in this country always restricting the number of men that can go over the wall and work on a car. I'm going to one race tomorrow from Dallas, Texas. There are no such regulations. And here's the status of the event at the moment.
15 laps complete. 98.9 the average speed. Just a shade under the 99-mile-an-hour mark. And there's Emerson Fittipaldi back on the track, and he's running a lap down with Cale. That moves Johnny Rutherford up to 11th. Jackie Hicks into 10th. Dale Earnhardt is 9th. Bonnet is 8th. Benny Parsons is in 7th. As you look at your leaders another time, Cale Yarborough very determined to carry the stock car colors, challenging the IndyCar twice champion Tom Sneva out of Arizona. Now with the story on that damaged tire, once again, here's Ned Jarrett.
Ken, he actually cut the tire. It was not a melted inner tube as we speculated, but he cut the tire. You can see that cut there. Caused it to go flat. He had no choice but to come in. Now let's correct ourselves. If he makes a pit stop during the green flag, he only loses the time that he loses on the racetrack. He does not lose a lap. That is only during pit stop on a full caution lap. So Fittipaldi is far behind, but not a full lap behind.
You've got a 10 and 30-second, 100-second interval between second and third place. That's a wide margin, but that battle for the lead continues to wax very hot. Danny Ungaius has come alive again and moving up on Derek Bell. Danny is 4th, Bell is 3rd, cars 4 and 9. These colors are something else. We've had all kinds of names. Danny Ungaius here looking out of his windshield. He's drawing a bead on Derek Bell up there. Some of the cars have had colors like butterscotch or caramel, coffee with cream. I love it. Just an interior decorator was in here deciding what color the cars are. Neil Bonnet called his Michigan winning car a purple Easter egg.
That's the car that is now leading with Tom Sneva. Sneva at the keyboard of the car that won at Michigan stays in front here. The 3rd place car is still Derek Bell, and 4th is Danny Ungaius with Darrell Waltrip in the 5th position and Gordon Johncock 6th. CBS Sports coverage of the International Race of Champions will continue after this word. Driving the car that Derek Bell drove and spun out twice at Michigan, but Derek continued to say it was the best car of the lot.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ken. If Sneva wins in car number 3, it's the same car that Bonnet drove to victory at Michigan, a purple Easter egg. Everybody at Talladega is going to want this car. And the drivers that don't draw it are going to find something to complain about with the other machinery.
Last lap at 99.5 miles per hour. 99.5 on the leader. And Sneva stays out in front. You know, even though he has a bad reputation as a road racer, his record in the road race series of the IndyCar people is among the very best.
Well, his bad reputation in road racing ended when the green flag dropped today.
There's Cale holding on in that 2nd position. You get about 5 miles per gallon on these cars with a 33-gallon tank. And there's Danny Ungaius' view of this race with our onboard camera. There's Derek Bell. They're looking back and forth at each other. Remember, Bell is 3rd. Ungaius is in 4th.
Danny Ungaius, there he moves out. Look at this.
Danny Ungaius moves through and takes Derek Bell, picks up a spot, and he gets in trouble and spins all the way around.
Full spin on the track, both from the in.
12th turn, got him.
I tell you, Danny, look at this. He's swiveling and swerving, getting back in, smoking the tires.
That is the second time that he has met with a concrete here this afternoon on Gaius.
You know, Danny Ongaius has had so much bad luck. He has an insatiable appetite for the race, as we just saw.
Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Yarborough closing up another time as Danny Ongaius gets back underway. Closing in on the first place man, Tom Sneva, is Cale Yarborough another time.
It'll be interesting to see if Cale can pass Sneva, whether he does it in a left-hander, which is the turn that doesn't bother his injured shoulder, or in a right-hander, which he says is so difficult for him to execute.
It was the crash at Rockingham, North Carolina, which injured his shoulder. We can take a look at that incident from Derek Bell's car. This is what Derek Bell was seeing as Danny Ongaius made the challenge. A little bit of a 360 there. I think he collected the tail end of that car at about the same time. And here's Danny Ongaius' view from inside his car as he made the move down to the bottom to get underneath Derek Bell on the end of that 2,300-foot straightaway. Ongaius will pit and got in there really hard. Derek Bell moving back underneath him, and away we go. Here's one more look at that.
That's pinching it too close, Ken. There's only so much you can do with these cars.
And he did just a little more.
That's right.
98.5 is lap number 20 as we move into the final moments of the event. And we're back in Danny Ongaius' car. We understand he may elect to pit. He may stay out here. Remember, at Michigan, he stayed out and continued on. Sneva and Yarborough stay first and second, and Yarborough keeps nipping away at Tom Sneva.
If they finish the race the way they're running, Ken, Bonnet will lead the standings going into Talladega with 28. Benny Parsons will be second with 26. Steve will be third at 25. And Waltrip and John Cox tied for fourth at 24 tallies each.
Sneva running that front position. And there's plenty of distance between this pair up in front and the third place car, which now is Derek Bell. Darrell Waltrip has moved to fourth. Gordon John Cox to fifth. Benny Parsons to sixth. Neil Bonnet up to seventh. And into eighth goes Dale Earnhardt.
Yarborough got within a length of Sneva a lap ago, and it has spurred Tom Sneva to some extent. He's pulled out to a 3 or 4 car length advantage here as the race starts to move into the closing stages. He's got to have his fingers crossed. The one thing that his career needs is a major road racing triumph.
21 laps are now complete of the 30 laps to be contested today in round number 2. Cleveland, Ohio is where it's happening. The 2.4-mile course here at the Burke Airport is where this one is up for grabs. Let's go to the pit. Standing by is Dick Vermeil.
With me is Tom Cousineau, the fine linebacker of the Cleveland Browns. What's a linebacker doing on a racetrack 2 weeks before training camp, huh?
Well, Dick, I've always been a car fanatic, without a doubt, and I met Scott Brayton through a mutual friend, and he invited me to come to Indy and change tires, and I got the bug now.
Oh, you're on the pit crew then. Are there any similarities between the coordination of a pit crew and a football team?
Well, I think it's just like you need more than a great quarterback to get to the Super Bowl. You need more than a fast car to get into victory circle. You know, it's filled with teamwork here, and it has to do with the crew chief and getting in and out of the pits fast, because if you get the driver out on the track, it's that much less time he has to make up.
Tom, it seems like you get as excited about this as you do playing football. Back to Ken.
Two-time national champion Tom Sneva, back in 77 and 78, continues to hold the lead. Off the corners, he seems to get an advantage, and then Chris, it goes away from this. Cale drags him back in again.
Less than a second between the first and second place runners, Ken.
Here is Tom Sneva up in front. Has 12 career wins in IndyCar racing. Remember, he placed only 11 in that performance earlier at Michigan.
You know, if this was Daytona or Talladega, we could say that Cale was waiting for the last lap to pull the slingshot. But the slingshot doesn't work here at Cleveland or at any flat road course. We'll see what he can have up his sleeve as the race draws to a close.
Tommy Sneva, who in 3 IROC Series has never had a victory, stays in front as the laps begin to run down for the 36-year-old resident of Paradise Valley, Arizona. Cale Yarborough right there. Cale told me last night, he said, I doubt if I can run more than 20, 25 laps. He said, my shoulder is just so bad. It's the left shoulder, it's the right-hand turn, and also he has a bad leg, and he's waiting until the end of the season in November to have a couple of ligaments worked on, as well as to have some work done on that shoulder. Tom Sneva and Cale Yarborough still locked up in front. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Neil Bonnet back there with that broken right wrist, who's running in 7th position. See where the shifter is built up in his car to give him just a little bit of assistance here.
You know, there's so much more turning done here at Cleveland, Ken, than you do on a super speedway. Notice the steering wheel way over to the right there, and then back up his hands at the top of the wheel. He's really working. Don't forget, he's really almost doing it one arm there. That bandaged right wrist is just not giving him over there to shift gears. He's waiting, got on, and that's the hardest part for Neil Bonnet, moving that gear shift lever like that.
He does everything pretty well. He'd never been in a dirt track race until he went to New Zealand one time with Bobby Allison. The first dirt race he ever drove, he won over there. They've changed the carburetors up to a 750 CFM, as they told you early in the program, from the 390 to give them more torque, to give them more jump off the corners.
Okay, Bonnet, you know, is really dropping, going against doctor's orders. He's broken his wrist twice this year, and if he breaks it again, he may lose the use of it.
Will be National Racing Champions moving by Tom Sneva. Let's look again at how it happened that Cale Yarborough now has a healthy advantage in first place.
Okay, Sneva's car apparently has got a tire problem. It started to weave and slither from side to side there. You're watching. It didn't take Cale Yarborough long to realize that was his opportunity to push ahead. And by he went. Sneva's car broadside in there, Cale coming through on the inside, and Sneva's car has continued to fish Cale since that passing move by Yarborough. He's now almost 5 seconds behind, so he apparently has elected to stay out there with the problem rather than stop.
Right now, closing up is Derek Bell into second place. Derek Bell is closing on Sneva for second. There's the point distribution in the series. 21 for first, 17 for second, 14 for third, 12 for fourth. Cale Yarborough stays in front. Now let's go back with Derek Bell another time. Derek Bell hammering away, and Sneva has fallen back quickly with that tire, which continues to deflate on car number 3. Derek Bell pulls up into second. Waltrip moving to third. Cale Yarborough is your leader. Derek Bell, who learned all about oval racing in a hurry at Michigan, spinning out a couple of times. The gentleman who has gone to the win at Le Mans on 3 occasions with Jackie Ickx. Hangs right in there, and there is Sneva falling back. Gordon Johncock just going by him.
Now he's got a 3-way battle now for second place. Bell almost 11 seconds behind leader Cale Yarborough.
Darrell Waltrip moving up. Waltrip goes into third, and on pit road comes Tom Sneva. Here's Derek Bell, and you can see Waltrip closing right up on him.
Tom Sneva is called in the pits apparently to solve that whatever problem is. It's interesting, when a tire goes soft in a car like this, you can't tell which one it is by looking, so both tires on the offending side are usually changed. That's an amazing thing that a professional racing driver, with all the experience these fellows have, when a tire goes soft, they can't pinpoint which one it is.
Back inside Derek Bell's car another time. And what a battle he is having with Darrell Waltrip right behind him, and then comes Gordon Johncock. He is pulled into 4th position. Benny Parsons is up to 5th. Neil Bonnet, who started all the way as a tail ender, comes into 6th position now. Earnhardt in 7th. Here's the leader. Cale Yarborough has made 17 IROC starts with 3 victories thus far, looking for number 4 right here today. They call him an oval track specialist. 2 of his 3 IROC wins on road courses, as well as a runner-up spot. Has 11 top 5 finishes in IROC competition. Cale Yarborough in first.
You know, we've got Yarborough with that bad shoulder leading. Gordon Johncock now up to 4th place, and he's got an ankle that really is difficult to use in a race where you have to change gears a lot as you do here. Gordy is probably shifting less per lap than any other driver in the race to favor that ankle that was broken racing here not too long ago.
Lap 26 for Cale Yarborough was a 100.2 mile per hour lap. That's the first lap at over 100 miles per hour. The 27th lap came in at 99.6. Let's go go back and look at Neil Bonnet's car another time. There's Cale Yarborough in front. And there you are with Neil Bonnet still working his way through. He is now back to 7th. Earnhardt has picked him up. There is Benny Parsons' car. And Benny Parsons, if he holds on where he is right now, he will be the overall leader in the International Race of Champions. Benny Parsons, who started in 11th position among these 12 drivers.
I wonder if Benny is calling up on any of his taxi driving abilities over the years, what he's doing here. This could be a big thing for Benny. Won the NASCAR National Championship many, many years ago and has had tough sledding ever since.
73 and 75 is big years with the championship and the Daytona 500. Won at Atlanta earlier this year. Cale Yarborough, of course, who won the Daytona 500 this year, now in front and continuing to build on his advantage. Derek Bell maintaining 2nd position, who had a dismal time of it in his first International Race of Champions. Here he is, and with him comes Darrell Waltrip. Couple to go. It is Derek Bell maintaining 2nd. Waltrip in 3rd, and Gordon Johncock is back up to 4th.
I'll have to see if Darrell Waltrip can pull any of that NASCAR last lap stuff on Derek Bell. You know, historically in European endurance racing, in which Bell excels, they really take it easy on the last lap. There's usually great distance. Oh, somebody's out in the grass out there. Looks like Dale Earnhardt. He's going to have to replace all the divots.
More agricultural racing for Earnhardt.
You know, it's a good thing he went there, Ken. Had he done it somewhere else, he might have wound up in Lake Erie. They got the Coast Guard and the Frogmen out there waiting for just something like that to happen, which, of course, we hope they have the day off.
6th has been Earnhardt. This will push him back. It will put Neil Bonnet back up to 6th. It will move into 7th, Danny Ongaias. And it will move Johnny Rutherford into 8th. And I believe now 9th will be Earnhardt with Pent, Ix, then Fittipaldi and Sneva, who had to stop for tires. On the in-car camera, we may see Dale Earnhardt going for a ride this afternoon. That is Waltrip spinning.
Oh, and he's clouds of dust down there, a local yellow flag on that corner. Oh, the race is exciting right to the very end.
And we're down toward the finish now. Waltrip, a late spinner out here. 1 lap to go on the leader, Cale Yarborough. Derek Bell maintaining 2nd. Waltrip now out of it. Gordon Johncock has moved up another spot into 3rd. This will bring Benny Parsons into 4th, and he'll have a pretty secure hold on 1st place after 2 rounds of the International Race of Champions, and Johncock becomes more and more of a factor. Gordon Johncock had that crash in Indianapolis, broke his left ankle. He's here without the crutches, but still has to be very careful putting a lot of pressure on that foot. Yarborough in front, about to win his 4th International Race of Champions if it all hangs together. Tires have been a problem for several drivers here today. Tom Sneva, who led a great deal of the time, finally cut one down. Parsons into 4th. Unofficially, they're showing Waltrip in 5th. And Bonnet in 6th with Ongaias back to 7th, Chris.
It's interesting that we've got a stock car driver, a sports car driver, and an Indy car driver in the top 3 positions, just showing how well the organizers of this event did their picking. It's not been a piece of cake for any one form of racing, this International Race of Champions Series.
Last lap for the man who has won 81 Grand National races. Here is Cale Yarborough. He started up in the front row, trying to pull this one out.
Here he comes, 2 turns to go.
Down for the checkered flag comes Cale Yarborough. Checkers are out, and Yarborough will win this afternoon. Derek Bell. Now we're back with Neil Bonnet another time, coming across in 2nd. Across the line in 2nd is Derek Bell, and Gordon Johncock will finish in the 3rd position. The interval, Chris?
9.68 100-seconds, less than 10 seconds. The victory by Cale Yarborough.
Other cars had a little altercation with the barriers at Cleveland, Ohio, where live coverage of the International Race of Champions has seen Cale Yarborough come home victorious this afternoon. Cale Yarborough wins round number 2. Round 3, 3 weeks from today, Talladega, Alabama, on the world's fastest superspeedway. Yarborough receiving the accolades as he comes around. 2nd spot on the finish to Derek Bell. We'll have the rundown for you and the standings after 2 races in the 1984 International Race of Champions following this message. Go down to the pit area and Ned Jarrett.
Cale, congratulations on your first IROC win of 1984.
Well, thank you, Ned. Just want to thank the Lord for a safe race, and I couldn't ask for it to come in any better place. You know, as I've told you before, I won some races at Riverside in IROC cars against the best road racers in the world. And I haven't been on a road course for 4 or 5 years, and I got a bad shoulder and a bad leg, so I guess everything turned out pretty good for a broke-up stock car driver.
Well, I'll bet it didn't hurt him too bad today, Ken.
Let's take a look now at the new standings after 2 races in the International Race of Champions. Chris?
Okay, Neil Bonnet goes to Talladega, his home track, with 30 points, number 1 on the tables. Benny Parsons, a stock car driver like Bonnet, second, 1 point behind with 29 tallies. And then it'll be IndyCar driver Gordon Johncock third with 28 points. Yarborough, today's winner, fourth with 24. And then a tie for fifth between Darrell Walter for the stock car set and sports car driver Derek Bell with 22 digits. Danny Ongaias is seventh with 18. Indy winner Johnny Rutherford, 16. Dale Earnhardt, 14. A tie for 10th between Jackie Hicks and Emerson Fittipaldi, both foreigners at 11. And Tom Snaver, who did so well today until Mechanica felled him, is last in the standings with 7 points.
So that's the story here at Cleveland, Ohio for this afternoon. The Western Golf Classic coming up next here on CBS this afternoon. The winner today is Cale Yarborough in round number 2. It's the 3rd round coverage of the Western Open. Will be next on this Saturday from CBS. This is Ken Squire for Chris Economaki, for Ned Jarrett and Dick Vermeil saying goodbye from Cleveland, where once again today's IROC winner was Cale Yarborough. We'll see you tomorrow when CBS brings you the Dallas Grand Prix. Coming up next.